Hi, Georgina. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, really good. Thank you. So yeah, it'd be nice just to go through your whole process and just let me know how it's unfolded, really.
I think starting from the beginning, probably just kind of living life in a fearful way, worrying about death, truly believing that I was this like physical body and worrying about the end and how it would end. And, that kind of consumed my mind a lot as like a child and obviously like grown up and stuff. So kind of reached a point last year or the year before when I thought I need to make a positive like change somehow. But I think it was just more so like the limiting and negative beliefs that I had around myself. I didn't love or accept myself like at all. Didn't think I was good enough to do anything. But was always quite like funny and silly and stuff. So I kind of, I was kind of always just I like to have a laugh and things like that. But that was kind of like what pushed me into, I think I'd always been a seeker without actually realising it, Everybody's just trying to find happiness. So reached a point maybe just before I fell pregnant with my youngest. I went to get my eyebrows tattooed and the lady that was tattooing my eyebrows, I just said to her, I've got anxiety, I'm really worried about getting my eyebrows done. I don't know why I said that to her, and she was like, sounds like you need my daughter's book. Her name's Leah Brooklyn, and she brought out a book called How to Be an Effing Unicorn. So I was speaking about it to a friend, and Mark, my fiance, overheard and ordered me the book. So I just read it, and it was all about self-love, self-acceptance. It mentioned The Secret a good few times, and I was like, this is amazing. Like, I love this book, because I definitely felt like I needed it at that point. Then I fell pregnant and kind of came off that journey of like, like, I need to make positive changes, because I was just so consumed with being pregnant that I thought I'll pick this up again after the baby. But then after the youngest, it all just kind of went, there was like a big shift. And I was really deeply thinking, what happens when you die? Like, like overthinking it, Googling it, and just not finding anything, not finding like, and this was probably December, when was this? I was seeking December last year, so it was quite a while maybe after the baby that I started to really do this. And then I came across and listened to The Secret, which was absolutely amazing. I loved it. I thought, that way where you're so conditioned to believe that you can't do anything, you're not good enough, life's tough, it's hard work, it's a battle, it's a struggle, to being like, you can have anything you want, like that type thing. Like, ooh. And I really enjoyed it, because it's just uplifting, like positive thinking and things. So I came across like Bob Proctor, and I loved when he spoke. I really kind of was resonating with what he was saying. Definitely all about like you're a spiritual being in a physical body type thing, and also the, we can be, do, or have anything we want. That kind of like stuck out. So just listen to all his podcasts, every single one he featured in, basically. But during that time, I came across a podcast with Rhonda Byrne, and she was speaking about The Greatest Secret that was going to be released. And she mentioned yourself. But at that time, I was like, I wasn't really that, I didn't think, I really need to listen to this book. I just was like, that's nice. But then I was intrigued by your name. So I went and had a little look at Conscious TV and listened to your interview, and I was just like, I couldn't understand the words you were saying. It could have been in a completely different language. But I just knew I absolutely loved what you were saying. It was like music to my ears. It was like what I remember where I was in the kitchen, I had my earphones in, and I was just like, cleaning and stuff. And I thought, what is this? But not understanding, but feeling a deep connection somehow. And that then put me onto a 6-month personal development course with Bob Proctor's team. So that was quite intense. It was a complete change. This started December last year. So that was like, getting up at 6:30 every morning, writing your goals, your gratitude, and, studying. And I loved it, absolutely loved it. But then 3 months into my journey, I just felt like something was still sort of missing for me, because you need to have a goal. And I was like, I don't have a goal. And I thought the goal would be to work within the team. But a part of me was saying, no, this isn't it. This isn't what you're meant to do or what you want to do type thing. So then I reached out to you, and the rest is history. So yeah, we spoke in the April, didn't we?
Yes. Yeah.
And that was kind of the big change for me type thing. But during that time between December and the April, I was listening to The Greatest Secret by Rhonda like every single day, every day, and I just felt like I needed that. I just was like, this book's absolutely incredible. Obviously, the 6 months personal development was great for subconscious programming. It made you really look deep within to see who you truly are, in a sense.
Yes.
But the deeper spiritual stuff kind of was like missing for me, and I thought, right, I need to expand my awareness more. I just was seeking that something else. And obviously listening to Rhonda's book from start to finish a good 5 times, and always hearing the end of the book, but never hearing what she actually said. And it wasn't until I spoke to you, and I was like, oh, we're just this one infinite consciousness having this human experience. And it was when you said you're just playing the role of Georgina, I thought, oh my goodness. But it all just kind of clicked into place, and it was kind of like a remembering, as opposed to like a realization with just this one thing. It was like, because my journey was so quick and everything was kind of happening at the once, it's hard to pinpoint exactly, but I definitely know like once we had our first conversation, I kind of, because I was in that kind of body bliss for a bit, thinking this is amazing. And then obviously after speaking to you, it's like letting go of everything you've ever believed for your whole life, from the perspective of the mind, obviously. And that can sometimes be a bit like, oh, that's a lot. But I loved it, absolutely loved it, resonated with absolutely everything. And I thought, this is a much better way to believe, in a sense, because who wants to be a frail human living this difficult life when in actual fact we are like the infinite being? So that was kind of how it went.
Amazing. Yeah, over such a short period of time as well, because that's quite unusual.
Yeah.
Most people I have conversations with have been seekers for quite a long time, sometimes 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
But it's good. I think it's good for people to know that it is available over the short term, and that in some ways it's easier because you're not burdened by all the concepts, because there are so many spiritual concepts and so many teachers and so many different approaches, and they can sometimes, create more of a burden, whereas you were blessed with a very kind of simple sequence, and that was that's amazing, really, though, just the way it unfolded for you.
I think it was, like you say, because obviously I had done absolutely no seeking beforehand, that I never had all these other beliefs before, like remembering self-realization. So it was just, I found you right away. So I never had to do all the seeking. I just knew right away that like, this is it, you know, and it was just a deep inner peace that I've never ever experienced. But I knew that obviously signing up to the 6-month course, that's what I was truly seeking. It wasn't the cars and the material things, you know, but you're kind of brought up and conditioned to believe that that's what you need to be happy and be successful. And happiness obviously is a true nature, and it comes from the inside. And, you know, it's establishing that kind of and letting go of everything.
Yes.
I think with self-realization, it's not what you gain, it's what you lose, you know, the anxiety, the fear, the worries, the doubts. Obviously they still arise, but for me, they just dissolve like so much quicker than, you know, you wake up in a mood, and normally I would carry that about with me all day and think, I'm grumpy today. This is me, I'm just a grump. But then in actual fact, like, you know, when that kind of situation does arise, I'm just the observer, and then I kind of let it play out, and then it just dissolves, like, honestly, within like sometimes minutes, hours, but definitely not days, weeks, months, like how it kind of used to, in a sense. So it's definitely freeing, I would say.
Well, I think the way you handled it, the sort of integration process following realization, you know, that's it's really good, just the way you were really committed to that, and you saw it through in a way where you had the initial sort of honeymoon period, which quite a few people experience following realization, and then there's the invitation back into individuality. And but I think you handled that really well. And could you say a bit about that, Georgina? Just the way there were certain invitations which came to you. I remember there were one or two challenging situations that we spoke about before.
I think during the end of last year, there was a situation that was arising totally out with my control, but definitely something that in any normal way that I would be like really like reacting to in a negative way. But learning the Bob Proctor material, he always says respond, don't react. So I definitely didn't even feel the need to respond. I was like, you know, just let it play out as it's meant to. Is this trying to teach me something? Is this to help me grow? And then obviously after self-realization, that it still arises now and again, but it's dissolving of its own accord. But definitely acknowledging that it is an invitation back into limitation every single time, because my growth has went, this is probably, you know, it's like, get back here type thing. And I'm like, no, I'll decline that invitation. So yeah, I've managed to really, in a way, surprise myself, even though there is no I, myself, but be just kind of like seeing how it's all kind of unfolded and being like, that's great, you know, and I'm so grateful, because it could have went a completely different way, but I've managed to just remain balanced and neutral. Obviously there's been wobbly moments that we all do have, it's perfectly normal, but just being accepting in any situation and just living in the moment. And then I think as well, you know, sometimes with like your other half, you're just like, he's annoying me, and you just always try and find issues within your relationship, because we're kind of programmed and conditioned to really sometimes argue and bicker and not get on with people and find fault in people and be easily irritated by them. But I think through self-realization and a lot more understanding of people, I can see that rather than think, oh, they're not nice or I don't like them, I can kind of see that it's their subconscious programming.
Yes.
That sometimes has a battle with your own subconscious programming. So seeing that, especially like with Mark, you know, mother half, it's kind of enabled me to be a lot more understanding in a relationship, and it's definitely helped us progress a fair bit, you know, so even things like that. And then even I've got 2 daughters. The oldest one's 7, and the youngest will be 2 in a couple of weeks. You know, and I speak to the 7-year-old about this, like the world is an illusion. There's no such thing as time. And she gets it, you know. I could say to her, Frankie, you're the infinite being, you're powerful, you're positive, you're strong, you're this. And I could say some kind of deep things, and she'll just go, huh. You know, there's a wondering in her eyes, and then she'll just release it. But it's like she's accepting it because she knows.
Yeah.
And then she'll just walk away and play. But then I can say to her, Frankie, your button's out in your top. And she'll be like, why? How? Who, what, where, why, when? And I'm like, you know, it's things like I could tell her on a deep level, she'll fully accept and understand. And things that I could say to her, like everyday life, and she'll probably disagree and be like, why is it like that? And question me, but she never ever questions me about this. And it's great. I can see it in the way she is at school as well. She's really loving towards her friends and wants to be everybody's friends, and just shows love and compassion like all the time. She's like proper loving, and it's just kind of beautiful as well, because thanks to self-realization, I'm spending more quality time with the baby that I probably wouldn't have done without it.
Yes.
Due to the fact of feeling like you always need to be doing something, and you need to be working hard, and you know, it's an effort, it's a struggle, you know, you don't appreciate the present moment. It's allowed me to have the best moments with the baby that I would probably never have had, you know, out with. Because like with the oldest, obviously I was so wrapped up in my own struggles and in my own mind, believing that I was the mind, you know, all these negative beliefs that I didn't live in the moment with her so much. So it's great that I've been able to have this like with the baby. So it's been beautiful. It's I haven't struggled with the journey, this awakening type thing. If anything, it was more like a relief. You know, that there is no death, because you're never born to die. So
no.
And I think we're just so consumed with the fear of death and pain and things like that, as opposed to just being truly present and grateful for what we've got. Definitely.
And it's great the way your children really just still have that memory, because it's a real blessing to just be able to maintain the knowledge of one's true nature. And I think with children, if the programming isn't that intense as they're growing up, then they can retain that. In fact, there's a lady I spoke with who was saying that she's planning to create some material along those lines, because, you know, anything that enables children to retain the knowledge of their infinite nature is going to just make life much more pleasant for them, really.
Yeah.
It's great that you're doing that in a kind of hands-on way with your own children.
I think I just kind of let it naturally, you know, if there's a conversation to be had with Frankie, and I can kind of talk to her about this, it's a natural progression. It's not like I'm saying, right, this is how it is, you know. I just kind of let it flow into the conversation when it needs to be. But I definitely just stand back and observe her being in her own little world, and it makes me take notice sometimes, like if I see her, like, you know, in her own wee world, not listening to anything I say, which is happening quite a lot now. But then I kind of see it for its beautiful little moment that it is, because I'm like, let her be, you know. Because the conditioning and programming that we get even before birth, you know, is a lot. So I'm kind of stepping back and observing everything, as opposed to really being in the moment, like, listen to me and do this, do that. It's more so being like the observer, which is enabling the experience to be a lot better, I think, as well.
And also, children are, well, all human beings are telepathic. In fact, telepathy precedes any spoken word anyway. You know, we're communicating telepathically all the time. But I think with children, you know, if the mum and dad are really stable, then that just gives the children an inner stability, and it's just there because they have that feeling, and it's just the best way for them, really.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I've noticed as well, like through self-realization, the synchronicities that are happening quite a lot. The signs are there, like, and they're so specific. And also when you mentioned telepathy, you know, I felt a strong urge to message a friend a couple of weeks ago, and I was just saying, I didn't message her to be like, hiya, how are you? I knew right away. So I was like, right, what's up? What's wrong? Tell me now. And I was right. And I wouldn't have expected the outcome that I got from her. But then I just knew that there was something, you know. But I think I've maybe done that my whole life, picked up on energy. And rather than acknowledging it for what it is, the mind said, there's something wrong with you. You know, you're in a mood, like you're feeling grumpy today, and you know, just always listening to the mind, I think, is the biggest issue. I think through self-realization and realizing that you're not the mind, it's like, because everybody really does think they're their mind, and you know, it's just it's so simple. It couldn't be any simpler. Kind of self-realization, but I think people think they can't obtain it, or it's only for certain people, when in actual fact, I mean, I had no spiritual background whatsoever. So my journey's kind of went a bit backwards in a sense, because I'm now like looking into all the spiritual stuff, but just purely out of enjoyment, because there was a time, like obviously through integration, that I was self-realized through speaking to yourself, and then I was like, I need to find more. There's more. Listening to absolutely everything and everyone. Not resonating with anybody, but listening and loving what I was hearing. But a lot of things I would turn off right away because I wasn't resonating with it. But coming across Hale Dwoskin's podcast, Letting Go in the Greatest Secret, I absolutely love that. I just refresh it all the time, be like, oh, there's a new one. Just because I love him, I think he's amazing. I really resonate with what he says. And also Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now is just such a powerful book. I did try and read it back at the beginning of the year, and well, on Audible, and I thought I wasn't at that place in terms of awareness. And now I'm like, oh, you know, I just love it. It's just such a beautiful book and really powerful. And, you know, I think we never even think to live in the now.
No, it's very practical knowledge, really.
Yeah, just so stuck in the mind, either in the future or in the past. And I think that's a powerful message to teach Frankie as well, because she was saying, oh, mummy, what if my teacher isn't there to give her a present? And I'm like, well, what if she is? You know, you're worrying about something that may never even happen. You're worrying about the future. So then obviously the teacher was there, and I went, see, do you see how you were just worrying over now? And she was like, yes, mummy. So just even slight little nuggets like that, teaching them like really early, can definitely help their progression, like going forward with the subconscious programming as well. And they'll not be so like caught up in their mind a lot, which I love as well. Yeah,
it's great if you can do that, if you can just stop it before it gets installed, really. You've been speaking with one or two friends as well, haven't you? Which is quite good, you know, helping them along the way.
Yeah. So I met through the Bob Proctor course. It's quite a group of people. It's like a little community. But for some reason, I just I kind of want to keep myself to myself. And I met a friend, and she's in London, and she's like my best, like my soul sister. Like she's so one of the most amazing people I've ever met in my life. So she obviously kind of is going through the same experience, but she's kind of found hers a bit difficult, and she was enjoying life beforehand. But she's definitely seeing the progress and the growth that she's making, I definitely help her through her journey a lot, and because she's quite stuck in the mind a lot of the times. So we'll send voice notes all day, every day, and she's like, I'm going to save that one. And sometimes I'm like, I don't even know what I'm saying yet. You know, she's like, that's amazing. Thank you so much. I just need to hear some things. But I also met another man who I work for as well. So I work from home now. And he's like such an amazing person as well. So definitely grateful for the people that I've met, and obviously you, David, of course. So grateful for like the people that I've met, you know, because I think sometimes the integration process can be difficult because nothing changes. You still need to get the kids up for school, you know, do all the housework and stuff, but it's just, you don't see it as a struggle or like this is hard or difficult. You kind of just stop and look at the trees and think, life is actually really beautiful and loving and happiness if we just get out the mind for a little while. I don't really do a lot of meditation, you know, because you kind of think, oh, I need to meditate, I need to do this, I need, and then that dissolves, like, you know, when I look back to how I was maybe like a few months ago, definitely in a different place, but I was happy then and I'm happy now, you know, functioning like from the body wisdom and then just like going into the body bliss and then the body wisdom, but definitely just maintaining balance every day, just having that balance. And it's peaceful because obviously there's moments that come in, invites into limitation and things, but it's sometimes being the observer. And then also for me, like surrendering sometimes. I had my first real surrender moment, you know, because you hear about it and you think, is that real? But my God, it really is. I had it a couple of weeks ago and was really in a mood. And I thought, this is weird. I've not had this for a while. And then I just surrendered to it completely. I was like, you can fine, that's fine, be in your mood, closed all the blinds, and then something just happened and it just lifted and it completely disappeared. And I thought, wow, you know. So it's just kind of like the integration process. Loads of things will come in and leave again, but you just stay as your true self, like your true nature the whole time. So yeah.
But what I really like is that, you know, you're just living your life and, you know, you have your family and, you know, a stable relationship and, you know, but you've integrated spirituality. I love the way you know, you're talking about the time span and you're referring to like a long way back, which was like January this year.
Like 2 weeks ago.
But I think it's really nice that, you know, that you're demonstrating that it is possible to do that, you know, in a home environment, you know, when you're living an ordinary life, you know, taking your children to school, getting them ready, getting their breakfast, all those things. So I speak to probably 80% females, but I think it's really nice, you know, that you have this knowledge, and, you know, hopefully you'll be able to speak to some of them, because you know, it's more of a direct thing, you know, to be able to communicate in that way. And so you're a great example though of the way the whole thing has just gone so quickly. But you know, it isn't personal. You know, it's the way you're just very fortunate that the self has revealed itself very quickly.
Yeah, I think, like you said before, I was committed, like so committed. You know, and I think that kind of needs to play a part as well, just because I've always kind of felt a bit lost in life, you know, really struggled through childhood. You know, like my dad committed suicide when I was like really young, and, you know, never had a dad, and always kind of looked at other people and think, I wish I was them, or I wish I had a different life, or they're better than me. And, you know, and now knowing that obviously that's just the story, that's just the entertainment of it, And now knowing that nobody's better than anybody else, we're all equal, we're all one. And I think that in itself enables you to really experience your true nature by acknowledging that we are all just one. And nobody's on a pedestal, or nobody's any better than anybody else, and you're certainly no better than anybody else. It's definitely that, so it soaks up your energy to live as the I person, and maintaining this illusion. So yeah, I definitely feel like it's so much easier. It's just living your true self. And for me, I've never resonated with anything my whole life, and I found this and I was like, this is it. I've done it, I'm here, I'm home type thing. And it's just this inner knowing, this inner peace that it's hard to describe, because the mind can never obviously put it into words what this is, but we just try and explain it like the best way we can.
That's brilliant. Yeah. And it's amazing because you don't know where it's going to go from here either, do you, really? But it's just being aware of what comes to us effortlessly, really. So that's the nice thing. We don't need to engage the mind or make a plan.
Yeah.
Just show up. And so
when I done the 6 months Bob Proctor, I was still very much within that, and there's something else. I need to do more. I need to have more. Even after self-realization, I signed up to do another 6 months. And obviously there's like a monetary aspect to that, but I was like, no, I need it. Thank God I've got another 6 months. And shortly after I paid the deposit, I went, I don't need this. And it was like, I don't need anything else. There's nothing, it's fine having goals and dreams and aspirations and stuff like that. But for me, mine is speaking all things non-duality and being with my children, and that's it. And if anything's meant to be, I think it's more like an acceptance of where you are in the present moment. Thinking, right, I don't need to do another 6 months of anything, because I am the infinite being. I've discovered my true nature, and there's nothing more to kind of do. It's just all the experience. But totally appreciative of where I've come till now. But definitely just a letting go and being like, right, what's meant to be will be. And I'm exactly where I need to be as well. So I definitely think it's along the lines of helping others get out their minds and things like that. But I'm just letting it unfold naturally and effortlessly. And since it's the fairy letting go that kind of happened. But it was kind of like, that there was that struggle thinking, do I need this? Do I need this other 6 months? And then see that release of energy, thinking, no, I don't need it. And I'm glad that I made that decision, because it's just like a tug of war sometimes between the mind and stuff. So yeah, definitely I'm grateful that I'm just letting it unfold effortlessly, and things are happening, but exactly as they're meant to, just effortlessly and easily. And it's just, I'm trusting. I've got so much faith. I think sometimes it's like, I was always like, I don't have faith, I don't have intuition, but that's the mind. And now I'm like, I have so much faith and source, and the infinite intelligence. So just leaving it up to them.
Oh, well, it's demonstrated itself to you really well over the past few months, really. And so there is a kind of interdependence between faith and experience, because when you have experiences which just demonstrate that things work for you and that there's an intelligence behind everything that happens, then it's much easier to let go then. So it's really nice that you've seen that.
And it's brought obviously me and you together, and then also David Farmer as well.
Yes.
We were very lucky to have met each other, and it's enabled me to be able to find the integration process easier, because, you know, sometimes like at first I was like, I'm out with my friends and we're just talking about like dresses or something. And I'm just like, you know, thinking, like my mind's going, there's no such thing as time and things like that, you know. And then sometimes like I've got friends that obviously they're like, okay, whatever, you know. And at first you can kind of be like, oh, but you need to hear this, you need to hear that. And now the more that I've took a real step back from it and thinking they're exactly where they need to be. And if they're open to conversation, I'm more than happy to like discuss it. It's kind of, I've found like two of my friends, especially one other, are a lot more open to this type of conversation, just by me taking a step back and not forcing it and not being like, well, you're wrong or anything like that, just kind of letting it be.
Yeah.
So that's been nice that I could kind of just step in and out of the role of Georgina, but obviously know my true nature throughout. So yeah, I think maybe some might find it challenging, thinking, you know, like it's just going to be like, ta-da, you know, like rainbows and unicorns and stuff. But it kind of, in a sense, in a way, it can be. You know, it's just how you find your process and just letting it be, I think, definitely.
That's wonderful. Well, I think that's really inspiring. And so, yeah, it's great. I'll be interested to see how things develop for you, Georgina.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
I'll keep you posted.
Brilliant. Well, thanks very much. It's been a great conversation. And,
thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll stay in touch.
Will do.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.